Most people think AI only threatens certain jobs like tech or, customer support. But the real dividing line isn't your job title. It is whether you choose to learn AI or ignore it until it's too late.
Yeah, that is the crucial threshold right there. The people getting caught off guard are the ones waiting for permission to adapt, while the ground is, well, it is shifting right beneath them.
Welcome to today's deep dive. We are unpacking 5 essential practical skills today. Skills to help you thrive in the AI economy without needing a new degree.
We have a really packed roadmap for you. We are going to explore how to become the AI person on your team. We will look at why judgment always beats speed.
Right.
Plus, mastering context over prompts, the power of fast iteration, and finally, how to bulletproof your career with a second income stream.
Okay, let's unpack this. Let's start with this idea of becoming the AI person. It sounds intimidating, like you need to be a software engineer, but the landscape is shifting locally. A report that used to take 2 hours now takes 30 minutes. The change happens right at your desk.
And you really don't need a technical background. Becoming the AI person just means knowing slightly more than the person sitting next to you. It's about finding one repeating task and making it noticeably faster.
Which brings us to the Axon Enterprise case study. They build hardware and software for law enforcement.
Yeah.
And they didn't roll out some massive, intimidating AI initiative.
Not at all.
Yeah.
They built a tool called Draft One using the Azure OpenAI service. The mechanics were actually quite focused. They took a massive bottleneck, police officers typing up incident reports.
Right, which takes hours.
Exactly. And they aimed the AI squarely at it. Draft One basically drafts the report using the audio transcript from the officer's body camera.
And the result was an 82% reduction in police officer report writing time.
Huge.
Which completely flips the ROI of an officer.
Yep.
You aren't paying them to type, you are paying them to patrol.
Exactly. It shifts their cognitive load from manual data entry to simple editing and verification. But the critical lesson here is how it started. This wasn't a top-down mandate where executives forced everyone to learn prompt engineering.
Right.
Someone tested a highly specific, repeatable use case. They proved it worked on one specific task, and then the adoption just spread naturally.
It makes me think about finding a new gear on a bicycle.
Yeah.
You don't need to understand the physics of the derailleur to realize you are suddenly pedaling easier and moving faster. You just show your coworkers how to shift into that gear.
Right, and suddenly everyone wants to ride that way. It's the exact same dynamic. Pick one tool, stick with it, don't scatter your attention across 50 different applications. Apply it to one task you repeat every single day, and track the delta in your time.
Does being the AI person mean you suddenly have to fix everyone's tech issues?
No. It just means finding one repeating task and making it noticeably faster.
You become the proof of concept, not the IT department. That is a crucial distinction. But, finding shortcuts is one thing. Trusting them blindly is where companies are getting into serious trouble. Which leads us to the second skill, building judgment before speed.
Judgment is where the real premium lives now. Speed is completely commoditized. AI can generate 1,000 words in 3 seconds. But judgment, knowing if those 1,000 words are actually correct, is rare.
I still wrestle with prompt drift myself. Sometimes I just want to accept the first draft because it looks so polished. It is a very human temptation.
Oh, we all feel it. I do it too. But that polish is precisely the danger. The AI's output almost always looks perfectly fine on the first try. It utilizes impeccable grammar, excellent structure, and a highly authoritative tone.
Which brings us to the Deloitte Australia disaster. I looked at this case study. What fascinated me wasn't the technology failing. It was the human psychology of the failure.
It is a textbook example of trusting the polish. Deloitte prepared a 237-page report for the Australian Department of Employment, and recently they had to refund 440,000 Australian dollars to the government.
Wow, because the report was entirely compromised by hallucinations.
Completely compromised. The AI generated a flawless-looking document, but when a researcher at the University of Sydney actually audited the citations, it just unraveled. The report featured fabricated quotes from a federal court judgment. It referenced academic research papers that literally did not exist. The AI just invented them out of thin air to satisfy the prompt.
Why do incredibly smart people at top consulting firms miss these obvious AI hallucinations?
Because the initial output usually looks perfectly formatted and highly confident.
It doesn't look like a mistake.
Exactly. It looks like a finished product.
Which means the workflow has to physically change.
Yeah.
You cannot just read the output. You have to actively verify it against a known standard. And more importantly, you can't just fix the errors manually and move on.
That is a trap so many people fall into. They get a bad draft from the AI, they rewrite it themselves, and they try again the next day.
Right.
The machine learns nothing. You have to teach it your standard. If it uses overly formal language, you don't just delete the words. You reply and say, make this shorter, remove the academic tone. Use conversational language. Tell it what you changed and why.
You are essentially calibrating the machine's judgment to match your own. But even with good feedback loops, the best way to prevent the AI from making those confident mistakes in the first place is to put guardrails up. You do this before it even starts generating words. Which brings us to our third skill.
Context engineering. This is fundamentally different from what most people are doing right now.
We should define that clearly. Context engineering simply means giving AI your background info before asking a question.
Exactly. Prompt engineering is focusing on how you ask the question. Context engineering is controlling what the AI already knows before you even open your mouth.
Yeah.
A generic prompt with no context will always produce a generic hallucination-prone result.
I think of it like briefing a highly intelligent but totally amnesiac intern. You can't just walk up to this intern and say, write a strategy report.
Right.
You have to hand them the company playbook, the style guide, and 3 examples of last year's successful reports before they even touch a keyboard.
That is the perfect analogy. And when you look at how enterprise companies are doing this, the results are staggering. Look at Wells Fargo. They rolled out an AI tool for 35,000 bankers across 4,000 branches. But they didn't just give their employees a blank chat window.
Right. Giving a bank teller a blank ChatGPT screen sounds like a compliance nightmare.
Oh, it would be catastrophic. So instead, they built a Microsoft Teams app and loaded it with 1,700 internal procedures. They essentially built a walled garden of context. The AI can only pull answers from those specific approved internal documents.
And the operational shift there is massive. The source notes that response times plummeted from 10 minutes down to just 30 seconds. Because the banker doesn't have to search a massive intranet. They don't have to open 3 different PDFs and synthesize an answer while a customer is waiting. The AI does the synthesis, but it is constrained by the context.
Constraining the AI is the secret. It removes the guesswork. You don't need a massive corporate system to do this yourself. You just need to build a context package for your own work.
What does a personal context package look like in practice?
It's basically a simple text document where you store your rules, your brand voice, information about your target audience, examples of your best past work, past mistakes or cliches you want the AI to avoid. You feed that document into the AI first, and then you ask it to do the work.
So is context engineering really just writing an incredibly long, detailed prompt?
It is more like giving the AI a custom instruction manual before assigning work.
Okay, we are going to pause for a quick word from our sponsor. We will be right back.
And we are back.
So once you've loaded up that context and you understand the value of judgment, the temptation is to spend 6 months planning the perfect, flawless deployment. But the sources point in the exact opposite direction. You have to move to skill 4. Mastering fast iteration.
Speed of testing will always beat speed of planning when it comes to AI. You cannot predict how these models will behave in the wild until you actually release them.
It's like teaching someone to ride a bike. You do not sit them down in a classroom and explain the physics of gyroscopic balance.
Yeah, right.
You don't draw diagrams, you put them on the seat, you let them pedal, and you catch them when they wobble.
Yeah.
You fix the small mistakes in real time.
And that requires a major shift in corporate culture. You have to be willing to ship a rough version. Let's look at Klarna. They are the gold standard for fast iteration right now. In February 2024, they launched an open AI-powered assistant to handle customer service.
The scale of this rollout is what caught my attention. In a single month, it handled 2.3 million conversations. That was 2/3 of all their customer service interactions globally.
The efficiency gains are hard to comprehend. Their average resolution time dropped from 11 minutes down to under 2 minutes.
Oh, imagine scaling to 1 billion queries seamlessly like that.
It completely changes the economics of the company. And repeat inquiries on the exact same issue fell by 25%, meaning the AI wasn't just faster, it was actually solving the root problems better than the manual process.
But to your earlier point about shipping a rough version, they didn't just build this perfect system in a lab and then turn it on. How did they actually manage that deployment without alienating their customers?
They built an aggressive audit loop. They didn't wait for angry customer reviews. They had human teams sampling hundreds of chats every single week. They were constantly hunting for friction points. When they found a content gap, say, the AI didn't know how to handle a specific type of return, they updated the context immediately.
They were fixing the wobbles while the bike was moving. Doesn't shipping a rough version risk frustrating your actual customers?
Not if you monitor it closely, catch errors early, and fix them immediately.
Yeah.
The friction of a minor AI error is usually lower than the friction of waiting on hold for 45 minutes.
That brings us to our final skill. This is where all the previous pieces lock together. When you combine fast iteration, deep context engineering, and human judgment, you suddenly possess the leverage of an entire team. You could do the work of 5 people.
You become a highly leveraged individual.
Which raises a structural question. Why restrict that immense power to just one fragile day job? Relying entirely on one paycheck is a vulnerable position. If that company downsizes, your leverage vanishes.
That is skill number 5, building a second income stream using the domain expertise you already have. And we have a phenomenal case study for this with Rick Chorney.
Rick's story is a perfect illustration of how to apply AI to physical, traditional businesses. He wasn't building a software startup. He was running a commercial cleaning company called Echo Janitorial Services in Vancouver.
And he was doing it the hard way. He spent his first year working 7 days a week with absolutely no days off. He was out in the field managing cleaning crews by 7 a.m., getting home at 8 p.m., and then opening his laptop to do administrative work until 1 a.m.
Calculating quotes, replying to customer emails, scheduling, the invisible work that actually runs the business. He was earning roughly $14 an hour when you calculated the sheer volume of his time.
Burnout was inevitable at that pace, but instead of just grinding harder, he spent about 4 hours researching how AI could carry that administrative load. He wanted to buy his time back.
Let's talk about the actual mechanics of what Rick built. The source material highlights 3 specific tools: Claude, NAN, and Obsidian. But listing tools doesn't explain the workflow. How did he actually connect these things?
This is where it gets brilliant. He essentially built an automated nervous system for his business. Imagine a potential customer fills out a contact form on his website at 10 p.m. asking for a quote. In the old days, Rick reads that at 1 a.m. and manually types a reply.
A total bottleneck.
Right. So now he uses NAN. NAN is basically a digital bridge. It connects different applications together based on triggers. It sees that a new form was submitted.
It acts as a dispatcher.
Exactly. NAN grabs the customer's request and hands it over to Claude, which is the AI language model. But Claude needs to know Rick's pricing structure to write a quote. That is where Obsidian comes into play.
Obsidian is a specialized note-taking app. It stores files as plain text on your hard drive.
Yes, and Rick uses it as his context library. It holds his pricing tiers, his scheduling rules, his brand voice. So Claude reads the customer's request, pulls the correct context from Obsidian, and drafts a highly personalized, accurate quote. Then hands the draft back to N8N, which automatically sends the email.
So a customer asks for a quote at 10 p.m., and within 2 minutes, they have a fully customized proposal sitting in their inbox.
Yeah.
And Rick was sleeping.
He completely removed himself from the administrative bottleneck. He set up an AI receptionist to handle phone inquiries. He automated his intake forms, and the entire setup process for that automated workflow took him about half a day.
Half a day of building to reclaim hours of time every single day. And the financial result is undeniable. Fortune magazine actually reviewed his business records. Echo Janitorial is projected to clear $1.3 million in sales this year.
Because he finally had the time to focus on growth, rather than drowning in paperwork. He used tech to scale a physical cleaning company. He didn't abandon his industry to become a prompt engineer.
Do you have to invent a totally new tech-focused business to pull this off?
No. You just apply AI to automate the administrative parts of your current skills.
Stay close to the domain you already understand.
Exactly.
We do need to offer a practical warning here. If you are building a second income stream, check your current employment contract. Look out for non-compete clauses or policies about using company equipment. And most importantly, do not quit your main job prematurely. You wait until that side income is completely stable and proven.
It's about creating a safety net, not jumping without a parachute.
Let's recap the big ideas we've explored today. These are the levers you can pull right now.
It really synthesizes down to 5 executable steps. First, step up and be the AI person by finding just one repeatable shortcut for your team. Second, build a strict feedback loop to enforce human judgment over AI speed. Third, engineer your context before you engineer your prompts. Give the machine the playbook. Fourth, iterate fast. Ship a rough version and fix the wobbles in real time.
And finally, take all that newly created leverage and build a secondary income stream that isn't tied to a single employer's payroll.
You don't need to change your career today. Just pick one of those skills. Build one context package. Automate one repeating email. That single action puts you leagues ahead of the people waiting to see what happens.
You have the roadmap. It's time to start pedaling the bike.
Sure.
But before we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought, a slightly deeper question about where all this technological leverage is actually heading.
I love these.
If these AI models are making everyone 10 times faster at producing reports, faster at writing code, faster at analyzing massive data sets, what happens to the fundamental value of speed itself? In a world where being fast is essentially free, maybe deep, slow, critical thinking becomes the ultimate premium skill.
2-sec silence. That changes the whole game.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive. Take care of yourself. We will see you next time.